welcome back to my channel. First of all, if you hear any weird noises on the roof, it's my dad. Mostly just crawling around on multiple ladders scaring me to death, and if you hear any babies crying, it's my nephew, which I am hurrying through this video so I can go see him. Today I am coming to you with some solutions for how you can grow food, vegetables. If you are maybe renting a house that you're not supposed to dig in the yard, or if you live in an area where your soil is either super clay or sandy or just like in one extreme or the other, you have a parent or husband or whatever that doesn't want you digging in the lawn, or if you don't have access to raised beds, whatever your reason might be, I'm here to show you another option to plant plants, and it's super easy. This is my second year doing it. I'm doing a little more plants than I have in the past, but this method is the straw bale method. I personally am using hay bales because that is what I have easily accessible. I've read the problem with hay bales is that they're much more dense than straw bales, and also the concern is that the alfalfa or clover or whatever the hay bale is made with is going to sprout. Honestly, if that's a problem, you can just pull it out, but I've never had that problem before. My dad has used straw bales in the past to grow radishes, beets, onions. I did read that it's not the best for root vegetables, but I am growing right now, currently growing red potatoes in a bale that was very composted, about 3 years old. So I don't think I'm going to have a problem there. And he had a great harvest of radishes. Had a bunch of plants that my boss gave me from the greenhouse, and they were either going to go to someone else or they were going to die in the pots because I kept forgetting to plant them. I am totally out of space in my raised beds. I just want to plant them somewhere where I could easily water them without having to carry water very far, like out to my butterfly garden or where my squash is growing is pretty far and hard to water. So I decided that I was just going to take a hay bale out of the barn and put it next to my raised beds. And what I did was I took some fencing that was around one of my raised beds to keep the chickens out. It's not going to be a problem anymore, but I wrapped it around the hay bale. After taking off the, I took the hay bale and I turned it on its side so that it looked kind of like an accordion, and I took off the top piece of twine, and then I wrapped the fencing around it after I dug out some of the hay a little bit and filled it in with dirt. Now, the key to hay bale gardening, straw bale gardening, whatever you want to call it, is to make sure that you have extra fertilized soil. And what I did for that is I just took some worm castings and worm compost tea and mixed it in ratios, 1 to 2, 1 part worm compost, 2 parts soil. And I just mixed that all together really well and maybe got some worms or worm eggs in it, so then my worms will help me in the garden maybe. And another trick is that you have to water the hay bale a lot before you plant in it. So you want to like soak the hay bale. My dad complains that you have to water them a lot, but like I said, I grew peas in a hay bale 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, last year. I don't know. Anyways, I didn't see that as a problem. My dad tends to overwater everything, so maybe that's a made-up problem. But they seem, with the potatoes and the peas, they seem to retain moisture really well. So watering the hay bale or straw bale, and then the fertilizer, and then keep your chickens away from it. My chickens this year started digging at my hay bale and like nesting in it, so the fence will hopefully keep out what I just planted today. And watch out for like goats or sheep or something that could come and try to eat the hay. How I planted in it, I didn't even like read about it or anything. I just used my intuition, and I kind of opened up spaces like a file cabinet and planted in between. When you have a hay bale, there's usually like sections of hay in the hay bale, so I planted in between those sections. I planted peppers, like a random pepper that I have no idea what it is, and then pimento peppers that were for my boss, trailing rosemary. I rescued some basil and jalapeno pepper out of my garden that were getting shaded out by my giant tomatoes, which always happens to me. So I have 2 basil plants. So I probably overplanted this hay bale more than what anywhere on the internet would tell you to do, but as long as I keep it fertilized and I planted it at an angle so the taller stuff is in the back. As far as sunlight, the taller stuff is in the back and the shorter stuff is in the front, so that everything will get proper sunlight, everything will get enough water, and there's plenty of room for the roots to grow. The only concern is the fertilization, which will water with worm compost. I have my hay bale loaded, and you can see it in the next clip, along with a little bit of my garden as an update after I pruned the suckers off my tomato so that my peppers and beans and basil could breathe, and my sunflower finally opened up. It's not totally all the way open yet, but the beans are climbing up it, which is what I wanted to happen, and my broccoli and everything is doing like too good. And I have natural predators coming in to eat the cabbage worms and the whatever else could be in the bed. So the tool is still there, but not really doing anything. Watching this video. If you liked, give me a thumbs up, and if you want to see more content like this, subscribe. I'm not going to tell you to click the little bell because that's so annoying. Have a great day. Goodbye!